the handwritten budget that she referred to, the way Rose would have to do in those days. And it has, I had extra copies made, so you can have one if you're interested. And I wanted to read you, by way of introduction to some things that I think Susannah will address.
Oh, no, I don't have that one.
Rose knew how to multiply her 69 request into her 70-71 request, so of course she increased to request. And one of the items, this is in the 1969 planning for the following year. Travel, $600 to $800, with a full-time staff next year, which includes Richard Kastner, Jim and Susannah Payton, and one additional staff person in January will be traveling. No, wait, and one additional staff in January. 1970-71, Daniel Nagrin. We anticipate more travel. The Paytons will be traveling to surrounding high schools and colleges for talks and dance demonstrations, workshops, etc. Richard Kastner, who's the folk dance specialist, will be collecting data for writing and research, and will be giving research papers at folklore, ethnology, and musicology meetings. And then it goes on. To put in context, I'm also, and there's extra copies of stuff in there, before Susannah starts talking about the time when they came here. This is the Constitution for the Modern Dance Club, prepared by, and there's the names, including Mrs. I. Pylyshenko, spring 1967, Constitution for the Modern Dance Club, preamble. And to me, this is what the department has always been. We, the members of the Modern Dance Club, join together in this organization for a twofold purpose: to partake in the satisfaction and mutual stimulation that is received from working together and from participating in dance as a form of art expression. Number two, to provide a favorable environment for the creation of dances by members of our group, which is what Irma was describing,
Some
which
of
may
them
be
are sitting here.
The what?
Jill, and people here.
Yeah. Which may be performed for our own artistic growth and for the enjoyment of and education of others. So then came Jim and Susannah, which is overlapping when, because just so I have to say it, Jim and Susannah and Diane Woodruff and I were all at Ohio State at the same time.
And Nat Goodhartz.
And Nat Goodhartz.
And Nancy Deckard. And Nancy Deckard.
And Nancy Deckard, who's no longer
with
here.
us.
How could I forget to tell them that you and I went to school together in Detroit?
That was before this.
You know, that was before that. But even we brought here because we know them.
Yeah.
You know, from the books or anything.
Well, we came here, Jim and I came in the summer of '68 to do the summer arts festival.
And
There was
how did anybody know about you and Jim?
Irma called us.
Yeah, I hired so many people. Rose still traveled even without me, and she was gone for the summer, and she left me in charge. And I knew I had to find faculty for the summer festival. And somebody had told me about Chase Robinson, well, from the Lucas Holding Company. I don't know.
Yeah, Chase.
And Lucas had, there was a 3-people company, and Chase was one of them. Gay Galang. No,
Was the other
before, no, before that. We knew him. Harriet Berg and I went to his office we lived on one side of Central Park. Is that what it's called, that park? And anyway, Chase and one very tall woman, Chris, and doesn't matter. We knew them from American Dance Festival, New London. And anyway, so Chase was going to come here and do the summer. Then he called and he said, Irma, if Merce Cunningham invited you to go on the South American tour, what would you do? You know, and there you go. But you help me, you have to help me find someone, take your place. And so he helped me by talking about Jim. They must have been friends. And so he also told me where he was. And then I called Jim and talked to him a little bit, and then he handed me the phone, Susannah. Right. Great. Such a quick solution. Yes. And they did it, and then we liked them so much that we kept them. With Garth, it was the same thing. We brought him here, had Jacqui. Well, she was 31. She brought him here to teach a summer program for the migrant children. And people liked him so much, and we had money at the time, so we hired Garth in 1970.
And what is important to and Jacqui sort of has already given us this picture, but Jim and I had already sort of, we knew what the future held, we knew what we wanted. We didn't want to go back to New York. We believed very strongly that concert dance world was not building any audiences in New York. It was the same crowd of 350 dancers who you took class with and everything, who were in the audience. There was never any real people or anybody that you were bringing into the fold. It was the same old people, and the people. Some of them would sit in the front row and they go, gee, I could get my legs higher than that. And, why aren't I up on that stage? There was a lot of it wasn't a pleasant performing experience. So why would you go back and keep doing it and doing it and doing it? There had to be a better way. So we knew we were going to go at some point to just any place, establish ourselves in a kind of metropolitan area, and this was Brockport is considered kind of a suburb or whatever of Rochester, and we knew Rochester had the Eastman School of Music, and the MAG, and all sorts of wonderful cultural life, and then when we came in that summer, we were still just thinking, and we had been working with Diane and with Nancy Deckard at Ohio State and doing work, and we were kind of forming something. We didn't know quite what it was or where it was going to go and how it was going to, materialize, but something was brewing. So, we tucked that away in the back of our heads. And so then we came to do this Summer Arts Festival, and we loved it because, and I was so sad when they stopped doing it, because it had, there was an opera component. These opera singers came from New York. They were all selected, and they did scenes from various operas with coaches who were teaching them how to, bring more expression and more life into these roles that they were learning. The singers were all very good, and they came from, great conservatory programs, and they that was happening. So they had and then they performed the scenes at the end of the summer festival, for everybody, and not just us, but the whole, people came. There was lots of audience, and the art department in Mirko were doing things as part of that summer festival, and teaching classes and giving
posters.
And making posters for us.
All of the early posters were designed by a professional who happened to be Irma's husband.
Yes, right. Keep it in the family, and the family just got bigger, that's all.
The name posters in the dance office were designed by Miracle.
Yeah. And there was, now we were doing the dance component, And we had, you know, a class of students that we worked with, and we taught them repertory pieces, you know, and they performed on the stage with us. We did everything together. We didn't do us and then the students. We did it together. And then, what else? Oh, the keyboard, the International Keyboard Festival was part of the Summer Arts Festival. And they had harpsichordists and all these keyboard, you know, and they had in the basement of the old Drake Library, the whole early music instruments and the you know, what do you call,
Harpsichords.
yeah, harpsichords and, but what do you call it when you bring those instruments back to life? Restoration.
Restoration.
And we had a summer theater, we had an outdoor theater in
Yes,
Fancher,
Wow.
so that the musicals could still go on.
Yes.
And I was teaching out there, and I was in one of the music.
Yeah.
When one of the Chipupi, the woman who sings Chipupi, the music.
Music man.
All of a sudden, overnight, they made me a star.
If I could add to what you just were saying, you were doing a model that 30 years later, dance companies and choreographers are starting to get this great idea of relating to people in their workshops
Yes.
in this way.
Yes.
But at the time, nobody was doing that.
No. And it was exciting to us, you know, we felt like felt like being one of the early pioneers, because we were going out to these little towns, you know, and people were seeing dance for the first time, and when we would go out, well, I'm skipping, let me go back.